I trusted her with everything. I signed whatever needed signing. Once my name was on paper, it was final and enforceable. That is how I live my life. I am a corporate lawyer who works in financial compliance, and I do not play games with words or promises. My wife, Lauren, worked as a marketing director at a medium-sized company. We had been married for 8 years, and I honestly believed she understood me by then. I am not a man who makes threats to sound tough. I do not toss out ultimatums for drama. When I say something, I mean it completely. Every word carries weight. So when I sat across from her one Tuesday morning, holding an overpriced cup of coffee we barely drank, and told her calmly that if she invited her boss to her birthday party our marriage would end, I was not being insecure. I was not being jealous. I was laying down a hard boundary. It was a warning, the kind you give before someone steps straight into danger. She laughed. Not a polite laugh. Not an awkward one. She threw her head back like I had just told the funniest joke she had ever heard. "Relax, Andrew," she said, brushing me off while scrolling through her phone. "He is just my mentor." Mentor. She said it like Brian Holloway was some kind of business prophet sent down to guide her career. Meanwhile, I was thinking about the messages he sent her late at night. Messages telling her what color dress to wear because it was his favorite. But apparently, I was just the husband who paid half the mortgage and stayed quiet. Lauren had one habit that drove me absolutely crazy. She could not tell the difference between professional respect and sexual interest. To her, every compliment was innocent. Every lingering look meant admiration for her work. Every late-night message was just dedication to the company. Either she truly did not see it, or she chose not to. I had stopped trying to decide which was worse. I could see what was coming the same way you watch a bad download inch forward on a screen. One moment at a time. Nothing stopping it. Just waiting for the failure message. Lauren confused attention with appreciation. She would sit next to me on the couch and tell me about her day. She would glow when she talked about how Brian praised her presentation or asked her opinion on a campaign. She lit up like she was plugged into a wall socket. I usually stayed quiet. Every time I pointed it out, I got the same speech about office culture and networking. According to her, I just did not understand how marketing worked. Fine, network all you want. Just do not act shocked when it turns into something ugly. What Lauren did not know was what I had never bothered to explain in detail. Her boss was not just her boss to me. Holloway Consulting Group had recently come up on my firm's radar. There were early signs of financial issues. Nothing proven yet, but enough warning signals to make compliance lawyers start digging deep late at night. I had just been assigned to the preliminary review team. That was a serious problem. It was a textbook conflict of interest. The kind that could ruin careers if handled wrong. The kind that made a wife publicly celebrating her boss look absolutely reckless. While Lauren spent that week planning her birthday party, ordering shiny balloons and a custom cake shaped with her initials because she thought expensive frosting meant class, I was preparing for something else. I opened my laptop, logged into a secure system, and started documenting everything. You can call it paranoia. I call it protection. For 8 years, I had watched Lauren twist rules I did not even know existed. She was charming, I will give her that. She could walk into any room and win people over in minutes. People laughed at her jokes. They backed her ideas. They trusted her. That talent helped her career. It made my personal life a nightmare. When someone is that good at selling a version of reality, the truth gets blurry. Was she being honest? Was she strategizing? Or was she making decisions that were about to blow up both of our lives? The party was exactly what I expected. It looked like a corporate networking event collided with an influencer wedding, and someone handed them an unlimited credit card. There were multiple champagne fountains. One was apparently not enough to celebrate turning 33. A live band played soft jazz versions of popular songs. Purple and gold lights were placed all over the backyard to make everything look expensive on camera. This was not a birthday party. This was content. It was her chance to show the world that she was successful, admired, and surrounded by important people. Most of them were there for free drinks, but that detail did not matter online. I stood by the bar. If I was going to watch the crash happen in real time, I needed something stronger than the cucumber water the catering staff kept offering. I scanned the guest list with calm distance, like I was watching someone else's life play out. Her coworkers were dressed like they had shown up for a charity fundraiser. Suits, cocktail dresses, forced smiles. The neighbors looked stiff and uncomfortable, clearly overdressed and unsure why they were even there. Then there were the social media people. The influencer crowd. They came prepared, carrying ring lights, phone tripods, and backup batteries, already recording before they said hello. My wife, Amanda, moved through the crowd like a seasoned politician on election night. She touched arms when she spoke. She laughed loud and long. She made every person feel like they were the most important one there. She was wearing the red dress. Of course she was. The same red dress her boss had messaged her about. The one that cost more than our monthly electric and water bills combined. Her hair was styled in those perfectly messy waves that look effortless but take hours in a salon chair. She looked incredible. That was never the issue. The issue arrived at 8:15. I saw him before Amanda did. He paused at the entrance to our backyard like he expected applause. Jason Reynolds had the kind of confidence that only comes from believing the world owed him favors. He walked in wearing sunglasses even though it was dark, because apparently our string lights were not worthy of his eyes. He carried a large designer gift bag stuffed with tissue paper, holding it like it contained something life-changing. His suit was flawless and expensive. His hair was slicked back with product that probably cost more than my first car payment. He wore that permanent smirk men get when they start believing their own reputation. Amanda spotted him and lit up instantly. She excused herself from her conversation and practically floated across the yard. Their hug lasted too long. It was too familiar. The kind of embrace that makes everyone watching feel like they just walked in on something private. He leaned in and said something in her ear. She laughed. Not the polite laugh. The real one. The laugh she used to say for me back when we still shared those moments. He handed her the gift bag like he was presenting a trophy. My grip tightened around my whiskey glass. The party kept going around me. Loud conversations. Overconfident voices. People who had 2 drinks and suddenly believed they were fascinating. At one point, Amanda's friend Natalie wandered over, already tipsy, telling me how lucky my wife was to have such a supportive husband. I smiled and nodded and wondered if she had recently hit her head. Then came the moment I had been waiting for and hoping would not arrive. Amanda climbed onto a chair. Actually climbed onto a chair like she was about to announce a campaign. She tapped her champagne glass until the crowd quieted. She was glowing, drunk on attention and alcohol. I just want to thank everyone for being here tonight, she said, her voice steady and practiced. But there is someone very special I need to recognize. Someone who has been an incredible mentor, supporter, and friend. My stomach sank. I knew exactly what was coming. Jason, come up here, she said, extending her hand toward him like royalty summoning a knight. He moved through the crowd while people clapped politely, most of them confused about who he was and why he mattered. Amanda lifted her glass higher, smiling wide enough to light up the whole yard. Jason, thank you for believing in me, for pushing me to grow, and for always supporting me. I would not be where I am without you. Everyone cheered. Glasses were raised. Nobody noticed what had just happened, but I did. It felt like hearing something break quietly. No crash. No explosion. Just a clean snap. Final. I did not yell. I did not cause a scene. That is not who I am. What would that solve? Public humiliation while her boss stood there enjoying it? I had a better approach. I smiled. The kind of smile that never reaches your eyes. I finished my whiskey in one swallow and walked over while Amanda was still standing on the chair, soaking in the moment. I leaned in close enough that only she could hear me. Happy birthday. Then I left. No drama. No speech. No slammed doors. Just clean and efficient, like clocking out of a job you hate. I grabbed my keys, walked through the house, past the catering staff, past coats piled on our bed, and got into my car. The music faded as I pulled out of the driveway. For the first time in months, I could breathe. She did not call that night. No texts. No concern. Nothing. When you are the star of your own movie, the husband barely matters. I was background noise. Easily replaced. I drove without direction. Eventually, I ended up at a 24-hour diner off the highway. The kind that smells like burnt coffee and bad decisions. The kind where the waitresses do not ask questions when a man in a button-down shirt shows up alone late at night looking like he just attended his own funeral. I ordered a cup of coffee that tasted like it had been sitting on a burner since the late 1990s and stared at my phone while it stayed dark. No buzzing. No screen lighting up. Nothing. It was strange in a grim kind of way, watching the minutes crawl by and realizing she truly did not care where I was or whether I planned to come home. She was probably still hosting, still smiling, still playing Queen of the Night. While she was slicing cake and posing for photos, I was doing something else entirely. I was cutting loose ends. I pulled out my laptop, connected through my phone's virtual private network, and got to work. First stop was our shared credit card. The one we opened 3 years earlier because Amanda believed combining finances showed trust. I logged in, found the option, and froze the account. One click. Finished. Any swipe she made after that would fail. Next, I handled my income. My consulting fees and salary deposits went into a business account I controlled. I had opened a second account at another bank the month before. Quietly, I rerouted everything. I had seen too many men lose everything to someone who believed marriage meant shared money, but not shared loyalty. Then came the house. The house was mine. I bought it 2 years before I ever met Amanda. When we married, I added her name because I believed in us. But every payment, every repair, every bill came from me. So changing the locks was not revenge. It was protection. I called a 24-hour locksmith and scheduled them for early morning. Cash payment. Receipt under a different name. Clean. Legal. Final. But the real work came next. I sat in that diner booth and wrote an email that could only be described as professional destruction. Calm. Polite. Precise. The subject line read, "Conflict of interest requiring immediate review." In the message, I kept it short. Per company policy regarding ethics compliance, I am formally disclosing a personal relationship that may impact the ongoing review of Holloway Consulting Group. Attached is relevant documentation requiring immediate evaluation by the Ethics Committee. Then I attached the image. It was perfect. Someone had posted it online and tagged both of them. There they stood, smiling like they were the only two people in the world. His hand rested on her waist. Her hand held his arm. Champagne glasses raised. They looked like a couple celebrating something meaningful, not a supervisor and employee at a birthday party. The photo did not show anything explicit. That was the beauty of it. It did not need to. The body language said enough. And in the context of an active legal review with me assigned to it, that image was explosive. I sent the email to 3 people. My supervisor, the head of legal compliance, and the ethics officer. I hovered over the send button for 30 seconds, long enough to question myself. Then I remembered her standing on that chair, lifting her glass to Jason Reynolds, while I stood there invisible in my own home. I clicked send. No hesitation. No regret. It was close to midnight when I paid my bill, left a generous tip, and drove to a hotel. Nothing fancy, just quiet. A bed. A door that locked. I checked in using my business credit card, the one Amanda never had access to, and lay down fully dressed, staring at the ceiling. I waited for guilt to show up. It never did. What I felt instead was relief. Simple, clean, honest relief. For days. That is how long it took Amanda to realize I had not come home. 4 full days of social media posts. Office selfies. Inspirational quotes about strong women and ambition. For days of silence. No calls. No texts. No concern. The level of self-involvement required to miss your husband disappearing was almost impressive. When she finally arrived late Thursday afternoon, I had taken the day off. I sat in the living room with a glass of bourbon that cost more than it should have at 3 in the afternoon. I had spent the morning preparing, lining things up. I heard her heels before I saw her. That confident click on the walkway. She was humming like someone who had just received an award. The door opened. She still had her old key. She stepped inside like she owned the place, dropped her designer purse on the couch, and smiled. "Did you miss me?" she asked lightly, like we were about to laugh and move on. I looked at her over my glass and let the silence stretch. "Sure," I said finally, my voice flat and heavy. "The way you miss food poisoning. Or jury duty. Or dental work without enough numbing." Her smile faded. She looked down at the key in her hand. She had turned it, felt it move, but something had been off. "Michael," she said slowly, staring at me. "Did you change the locks?" I leaned back in my chair. "Boundaries," I said calmly. "You said they were important. You said we needed healthier boundaries." I took a sip. "Those were your words. At our last counseling session. The one you skipped. I took your advice back then, and I will admit it now. You were right. It changed everything." She stood frozen in the doorway like someone had just told her the laws of physics were optional. I could see her mind racing, trying to decide if this was some kind of test or trap. "I do not understand," she said. For once, she sounded honestly confused. "Let me help," I replied, nodding toward the coffee table. A thick brown envelope sat there with her name written across the front in black ink. It had been waiting all morning. "There is some reading for you," I said. "Think of it as a late birthday present." She walked toward it slowly, like the envelope might explode if she moved too fast. Her hands shook as she picked it up. She opened it, pulled out the papers, and started reading. Her eyes moved fast. First page, second page, then back to the first. "This is our prenuptial agreement," she whispered. "But it is not the same. These terms are different." "That is the updated version," I said calmly. "The one we signed last year when we refinanced the house. Remember? You were busy launching that big campaign. I told you we needed to sign paperwork, and you said you trusted me completely and told me to show you where to sign." Her signatures were everywhere. Clean, clear, legal. She flipped through the pages faster now, panic setting in. "This says I am not entitled to anything," she said. "The house, your retirement, your business accounts. All of it is protected. This is not what we agreed to when we got married." "You are right," I said, standing up and walking closer. "When we got married, we agreed to loyalty. We agreed to respect. We agreed not to turn our spouses into background furniture while we praised our bosses in public." I stopped a few feet from her, but things changed, so I adjusted. Her voice dropped to a whisper. "You tricked me." "No," I said evenly. "I told you the truth. We did refinance. We also updated the agreement. You just did not read it. You were distracted, confident, busy. You trusted me." She had said those words herself. That night, she stayed in the guest room. I allowed that much. The next morning, she acted like none of it had happened. She made coffee, did her makeup, put on a sharp business outfit, walked out the door like we had argued about dinner plans instead of marriage-ending paperwork. I stayed home that day. I had a feeling the day would be important. I sat up in my home office with my laptop, fresh coffee, and patience. I had sent that email 4 days earlier. 4 days for it to move through the system. 4 days for meetings. 4 days for uncomfortable questions. The call came at 10:47 in the morning. I know the time because I was watching the clock. I heard her phone ring in the hallway. I heard her answer in her professional voice. "This is Amanda." Then I heard yelling. Not her voice. His. Jason Reynolds was screaming. I could not make out every word, but I did not need to. Panic and anger have a universal sound. The kind people make when their carefully built world starts collapsing. "What?" Amanda said sharply. "Slow down. I do not understand. What do you mean accounts are frozen? What lawyers?" The shouting on the other end got louder. Perfect timing. The ethics committee had reviewed my disclosure. They had looked at the photograph. They had compared it to the active financial investigation. And they had seen the problem clearly. One of their attorneys was married to an employee of a company under review. That employee had publicly displayed a personal relationship with the chief executive officer. They did what responsible legal teams always do. They escalated it. They removed me from the case, assigned new attorneys, neutral ones, and those attorneys apparently dug deeper. Footsteps came fast down the hallway. The office door flew open. Amanda stood there, pale, phone clenched in her hand. "Michael," she said, her voice shaking. "Jason is losing his mind. He is saying lawyers are involved. Investigations. Accounts frozen. He says this is my fault." She stopped, swallowed, then looked straight at me. "What did you do?" I leaned back in my chair. "Nothing illegal," I said calmly. "I followed protocol. I identified a potential conflict between my work and my personal life and disclosed it to the appropriate parties. That is literally my job." Her voice cracked. "You reported us?" "I reported a conflict. I corrected. What they discovered after that was out of my hands." She stared at me like she was finally seeing a stranger. "You told them about Jason and me?" she said quietly. I met her eyes. "No," I said. "You told them. I just made sure they were listening." "I reported a potential conflict of interest," I said calmly, correcting her. "I submitted photographic proof of a personal relationship between an employee of a company under legal review and that company's chief executive officer. The fact that the employee happens to be my wife is unfortunate, but legally irrelevant. The fact that you made that relationship public, obvious, and questionable in terms of professional boundaries is entirely on you. I only provided documentation." She stared at me like I had suddenly become someone else. "You are destroying everything," she said. "Jason's company, my job, my career. They are going to think I am involved in whatever they are investigating." "Were you?" I asked, honestly curious. She froze. Did you know he was manipulating numbers or hiding money? I continued. Did you ever suspect anything illegal? I did not know anything, she yelled. I work in marketing. I have nothing to do with financial records. Then it hit her. This is revenge, she said quietly. Because of the party. Because I invited him. I am not jealous, I said, standing up. Jealousy means wanting to protect something. I am past that. I am done. I looked straight at her. Done being invisible in my own marriage. Done watching you choose your boss over your husband. This is not revenge. This is consequences. Her phone rang again. Jason's name lit up the screen. She stared at it like it might explode. She did not answer. It rang again. And again. You have to fix this, she whispered. Please. Call them back. Tell them it was a mistake. No, I said, sitting down again. I am not fixing anything. You built this situation. Now you live with it. I paused. Just not here. Legally speaking, you do not live in this house anymore. You might want to start apartment hunting. Everything unraveled fast after that. Amanda's career collapsed quicker than the expensive cake she had ordered for her party. Within 48 hours of Jason's panic call, the damage was visible. Their biggest client, a technology startup, pulled out completely. They sent a short message about reevaluating partnerships in light of recent events and took their six-figure contract elsewhere. Then another client left. Then another. It was like watching rats abandon a sinking ship, except these rats were major corporations with legal teams and public relations departments. Nobody wanted to be associated with scandal. Human Resources stepped in next. They flagged Amanda's profile for review. That is corporate language for preparing paperwork in case termination becomes necessary. They started asking questions about her relationship with Jason, about promotions, about whether personal connections influence professional decisions. She came home furious every night. This is not fair, she shouted while I cooked dinner. I am being punished for nothing. It was just a party. Sure, I said without looking up. People toast their bosses as their most special guest all the time. Completely normal behavior. The final blow came from a workplace gossip blog called Corporate Confessions. Someone submitted the full story of her birthday party. The article went live Tuesday morning. It included Instagram photos, screenshots of her speech, timestamps, and commentary on professional boundaries. The headline was brutal. When birthdays become evidence, a marketing director's guide to ending your career in one post. By Tuesday afternoon, it had been shared thousands of times across professional networks, marketing forums, social platforms. Everywhere office workers gather to judge other people's mistakes. The article broke everything down. The guest list, the timing, the optics of a married woman publicly praising her married boss, while her husband stood off to the side looking like a stranger. LinkedIn exploded. People Amanda had never met wrote long opinion pieces about workplace ethics. Human resources managers shared the article as an example of what not to do. Her coworkers went quiet. One by one, they unfollowed her like bad press was contagious. The memes arrived on Wednesday. Someone made a most special guest template with Jason's face pasted into ridiculous situations. Another person created a corporate bingo card with toasting your boss at your own birthday party as the free space. I watched it all with a strange sense of calm. The consequences had arrived. Somebody with too much time and a mean streak edited that famous sinking ship scene and put my wife's face on the ship. They labeled the iceberg professional reputation. It was cruel, but it landed and it spread. Even her intern, a 22-year-old kid named Logan, posted a reaction clip from that old workplace comedy. The caption was something like, "When your boss's birthday invite turns into a human resources investigation." It got thousands of likes in a few hours. That is how fast things move when the internet smells blood. My wife, Amanda, tried to erase it all. The party pictures disappeared from her social media. Her professional profile got cleaned up like a crime scene. Photos were deleted. Tags removed. Anything that showed her standing close to Jason Reynolds got wiped. Then she tried to go after the gossip site. She sent them messages threatening legal action and demanding they remove the post. That did not work. It made it worse. They published an update, included screenshots of her threats, and wrote a new headline basically saying she still did not understand how the internet works. People laughed harder. They shared it more. It turned into a second wave. She called me in the middle of her online cleanup. voice tight and shaking. "You destroyed my life," she yelled. "Everything I worked for is gone. My reputation is ruined. This is all your fault." I was at the gym, on a treadmill, and for the first time in a long time, I felt steady. The workout felt good. My breathing was clean. My head was clear. "No," I said, calm as could be. "You did that. You did it with bright lighting and bad judgment. I just submitted documentation. The internet did the rest." She started yelling about betrayal, about trust, about how I was cruel. Then she shifted into threats. "I am going to sue you," she snapped. "My attorney says I can claim intentional infliction of emotional distress." I slowed down and took a drink of water. "Go ahead," I told her. "File it. Put everything into public records. Let us drag it all into the open." I let that sit for a second. "We can subpoena Jason. We can get those late-night messages entered as evidence. We can line up every detail for a judge to look at. And when you lose, and you will, I will ask for my legal fees." She went quiet after that. The call ended soon after. The next day, Jason came to my house. He looked like he had been beaten up by the last 48 hours. Bloodshot eyes, tie crooked, expensive suit wrinkled like he slept in it. The kind of breathing you see when somebody is trying not to panic in public. The doorbell camera showed him standing on my porch, and I almost spit out my coffee. He looked like the before picture in an ad for anxiety medicine. I did not rush to the door. I let him ring again. And again. When I finally opened it, I stood there with my coffee in hand and a polite expression on my face. "Where is Amanda?" he demanded, voice cracking. "I need to talk to her right now." He tried to step past me like he owned the place. I blocked the doorway. "Good morning," I said, steady and friendly. "Beautiful day outside. Would you like some coffee?" "I do not want your coffee," he shouted, loud enough that I was sure the neighbors heard. "I want her. Do you even understand what you did? The company is collapsing. We are losing clients. The board is calling emergency meetings. Lawyers are digging through everything. This is your fault." "Is it?" I asked. I took a slow sip. From where I stand, I disclosed a conflict of interest. Everything after that was other people doing their jobs. I kept my voice even. "You know what destroys companies? Fraud, financial games, bad numbers, and a trail of evidence created by a chief executive officer who cannot keep professional boundaries, while his marketing director celebrates him publicly like a romantic partner." That was when Amanda appeared behind me. She wore expensive workout clothes, like looking put together could fix what was falling apart. Her hair was neat. Her face was tight. Jason spun toward her. "What did you make him do?" he snapped. She blinked, confused. "They found discrepancies," he said, words tumbling out. "Major ones. Human resources is losing it. The board is panicking. Everyone is pointing fingers." Amanda's eyes flicked to me, then back to him, and I just stood there in my doorway, coffee in hand, watching the two of them face the mess they built. "Half the staff quit yesterday," Jason said, his voice thin and strained. "Our biggest investor pulled out this morning." Amanda shook her head fast, like if she moved enough the truth would change. "I did not know anything," she stammered. "I am in marketing. This is not what it looks like." Jason's hands were trembling. He looked wrecked. "It looks exactly like what it looks like," he snapped. "It looks like the chief executive officer and his marketing director were in an inappropriate relationship. Then the company got investigated, and your husband suddenly disclosed everything to protect himself, and it buried both of us." I cleared my throat, calm on purpose. "I did not bury anyone," I said. "I informed my employer that I had a personal connection to a company under review. That disclosure is required. What happened after that is the result of choices you both made." I kept my voice steady. "I am not the villain here. I am the guy who pulled the fire alarm when the building was already on fire." Amanda turned toward me. Her face looked genuinely horrified, like she was finally seeing the whole picture. "Please fix this," she said. "You know people. You have connections." I let out a short laugh, not because it was funny, but because the request was crazy. "I am a lawyer," I told her. "I am not a wizard. I cannot make fraud investigations disappear. And even if I could, I would not." I shook my head. "I am done covering for your bad decisions. This mess belongs to you. You figure out how to clean it up." Jason took a step toward me, and for a second I thought he might do something stupid. His eyes were hard and angry. "You self-righteous fool," he hissed. "You destroyed everything." I looked him straight in the face. "No," I said. You destroyed everything because you could not keep your numbers clean or your behavior professional. I documented a conflict. That is it. Then I nodded toward the street. And please, keep yelling. Mrs. Donnelly next door has her phone out. This is going to be great content for the Neighborhood Watch Facebook group. Jason stood there cycling through emotions, anger to panic to exhaustion, until he finally landed on defeat. Everything I built is gone, he said, hollow and flat. Then he turned to Amanda. This is your fault, he said. Your need for attention. I hope it was worth it. And with that, he walked off my porch, got into his luxury sedan, and drove away like he was running from his own life. Amanda stayed where she was and started crying. Mascara streaked down her cheeks. She looked small for the first time in years. I will be honest. A part of me wanted to clap. 5 stars. Would watch again. That is how numb I was. The next part came fast. Amanda showed up to work Monday morning in her best power suit. Like confidence could fix consequences. She walked up to the entrance and swiped her security badge. Red light. Sharp beep. She tried again. Same red light. Same angry beep. The security guard, Marcus, did not make eye contact. He just held out a sealed envelope like he had done it 100 times and hated it every time. Amanda stood there for 30 seconds, staring at the envelope like it might bite her. Her hands were shaking when she opened it. Inside was one sentence. Termination of employment effective immediately. At the bottom, above the company seal and the signature line for the Director of Human Resources, was the authorization line from General Counsel. And there was a name on it. Michael R. Dalton. My name. My signature. Amanda stared at the letters like they might rearrange themselves into something less final. That was the moment she understood something important. I did not have to yell. I did not have to threaten. I did not have to lift a finger. I could end her job with proper legal channels and a pen. That night, she came back to my house and found me packing. Her voice dropped into a whisper. We can fix this, she said. I set my suitcase down and handed her the divorce papers I had already prepared. You already fixed it for me, I said. I walked past her with my bag, heading for the door. No speech. No dramatic pause. Just forward motion. And then the doorbell rang. A courier stood outside and handed Amanda an official envelope. She signed for it without thinking, opened it with trembling fingers, and read the first page. Her knees gave out like someone cut the strings. It was a legal notice. Repayment demanded for performance bonuses totaling $130,000, issued based on fraudulent company earnings. Due immediately. I stepped around her on the floor and walked to my car without looking back. No screaming. No drama. No drawn-out confrontation. Just quiet. Some people destroy you with rage. I prefer invoices and silence.